Well, if you live, work, or play around here, you don't need a study to tell you that the traffic is bad. We already know it's bad, but they're going to do these studies anyway. And a recent Consumer Affairs study ranked Atlanta as the 5th worst traffic in the United States. But our Gridlock Guy says, hey, you may need to take that with a grain of salt. He joins us now, Doug Turnbull, live from the road. And Doug, what are we not seeing in these studies, man?
Well, really what we're not seeing is just the fact that there's so much nuance in their everyday commute. And I guess, Chesley, you and I haven't talked about what your commute is specifically, but I'm pretty sure it's totally different than mine. You and I come in at slightly different times from slightly different parts of town. And when they take a metro area the size of New Jersey, all right, and they say Atlanta in whole has the 5th worst traffic in the United States. And that may very well be true. And the way that the Consumer Affairs put this study together is they ranked the average length of a commute, and I'm going to look at my notes here, that's about 31.3 minutes, all right, which actually to me is pretty tolerable. And I thought, well, okay, they're saying that's one of the worst in the United States. Well, how does that make Atlanta the 5th worst overall? And what I would say as a counter to it would be, well, Atlanta's a huge metro area. There's people that come from way more than 30 miles away to come into work, so they're averaged into this. And then there's people that live really close to things that also have really slow commute times as well. Some other things that factored into the study was the fatality rate for crashes, which Atlanta had the 17th worst fatality rate. It was about a 10.75 fatal crashes per 100,000 people. And also, if you take an entire 24-hour weekday, Chesley, 4 hours and 57 minutes of below average freeway speeds are factored in too, which sounds like a ton, but you think about it, each rush hour is a couple of hours long. Our number was the 12th highest in the U.S. So all those made the story, but Chesley, I would say you take it with a grain of salt, or even ready to get some dad humor, asphalt, because it's not a full, complete story.
Yeah, coming from the north, Doug, and you got mass transit up there, which is huge, right? Down here in the south, a lot of the cities, including Atlanta, kind of spread out. As you mentioned, people live further away. Was that factored into the study as well?
Well, in fact, New York had the 6th worst traffic in the U.S. San Francisco, which has a great mass transit system and is densely populated, had a top 5. I think it was 3rd worst, if I'm not mistaken. And guess what? D.C., people take the train to and from, long commutes, short commutes in D.C. on their rail system, the metro. D.C. had the worst traffic in the United States. So MARTA here in Atlanta does have a lot of problems, doesn't go a lot of places people want, but even cities with way more robust transit systems have bad traffic. And that's what the punchline here is. Atlanta does have bad traffic. We could move more efficiently, but 2 things. Number one, if you have bad traffic, it probably means people want to be there. And Atlanta has a robust economy, a good climate. And then number 2 is if you're going to move a lot of people at once anywhere, whether they have a good system or bad, things are going to be slow. Another study that I referenced in my most recent Gridlock Guy column on 11Alive.com and in the AJC Sunday edition last week talked about this random study that was not very scientific that said that Atlanta was the 55th most walkable city in the U.S. out of 100 that they measured. And the main reason Atlanta was walkable is because it had good climate. A lot of the other metrics, including safety, were pretty bad.
But we're just now getting sidewalks, though, So,
novel stuff. Don't put those on the interstates.
Are things improving for us, though? Do you see things improving?
I do think that overall the city does a better job, and I mean the city not of Atlanta but of the metro area does a better job of planning ahead. Our DOT has long-term 10 and 15-year projects and studies that are trying to graph for this rapid population growth. If you've heard of the Atlanta Regional Commission, people watching heard of the ARC, they expect Atlanta's population to just continue to rise, so you have to plan ahead of that. The place that we lag behind is getting forward faster with MARTA, and I know there's been a change of leadership at MARTA, and hopefully they could get those projects that have been promised for years jump-started to help catch up to population growth, especially in town.
All right, we quickly got 30 seconds left, Doug. I know we love your column around here, the Gridlock Guy, and we know it's back to school time. What you got coming up on the column?
The safety around buses, AAA and the other officials reminding people, the drivers surrounding the buses, how to behave as our behavior gets worse. So that'll be up Sunday, 11alive.com, and we'd love for you to check in on that, and we'd love to talk about it right here next week.
All right, sounds good. My friend, Doug Turnbull. Stay safe on the road, my friend. Come on back here and bring some donuts with you or something.
Hey, you got it. Just for you.